Hi, it's Sandra from Sandra D Imagery, and I'm going to show you how you can use my basic workflow actions panel to speed up your workflow. I use actions for a number of repetitive tasks. Instead of using the shortcuts on the keyboard or going to a menu and finding that particular technique that I want to do, I find that the actions speed up my workflow, help me concentrate on what I want to do with the image and not worry about where is that shortcut key, what is that shortcut key. Let me go in and show you how you can use this actions panel. So here's my image, and the first thing that I'll do when I come into Photoshop is always duplicate a layer, and it's good housekeeping to do that. So I'm going to come up to my actions panel, which is just here, and I'm going to click on the action duplicate layer. One click and you'll see that it's duplicated that layer over in my layers stack. Now I can continue with my workflow. Let's say that I want to put a levels in. I'll click on the levels, I'll do an auto, and it just depends on what your workflow is. Now I decide that I actually would like to do a little bit of brush work, maybe do some clouds or some atmosphere. Whenever I do brush work, it's always on a blank layer, never on a pixelated layer, because that's working non-destructively when you're working on a blank layer. I'll click on new blank layer. There's the layer now. I'm going to go over to my brushes and I'll choose a brush. Let's say I want to put in some soft fog, and these brushes are available in the shop under atmosphere brushes. Now I'll change the opacity down just so that you can actually see it, and I've just put in a little bit of soft fog. I'm only dabbing, but let's change that right up to 84, and you can actually see just some subtle differences. Now I decide that I want to continue with my workflow, but I've still got this soft fog brush here and I don't want that. So I'll come up to my actions panel and I'll click on soft round brush, and it now changes it to the normal soft round brush. I'll continue with my workflow, and I might now decide that I want to put a brightness contrast, the curves. It just depends on what you want to do with that image. But then I decide that I don't like those chimney tops just at there. They're a distractor for me, but to get rid of them using the remove tool, I have to have a stamp visible layer. To do that, I'll click on stamp visible layer, and now it's merged all those layers into that one layer. I'll get my remove tool, I'll just size the remove tool, and I'll just quickly just brush away those tops of the chimneys. I'm only using this as an example. I can continue on with my workflow, but maybe I want to change the composition. Maybe I want to flip the image, which I do on a number of my images, particularly in landscapes. Again, I'll come up to my actions panel and I'll click on flip in image horizontal, and now it's changed the composition. But I don't like that, so I'm going to click back on the action and it puts it back to the original composition. I can continue with my workflow. I can use any of the adjustment layers. I can do anything that I like. But maybe now I think, oh, I'd like to go into Camera Raw and just open up the shadows or fix the highlights or add a little bit of contrast. I'll come up to my actions panel and I'll click on Camera Raw filter. It now opens up Camera Raw, and let's say I'll just open up the exposure a little bit, and I might sort of drop the contrast. I'm just playing with these settings, but now I'll click on OK, and what it's done has made those adjustments on the layer. It was about accessing Camera Raw using the action instead of going up to filter Camera Raw. Speeds up the workflow so much. Now let's have a look at some of the other actions that I've got set there. Maybe I've finished my processing and now I would like to size the image. Say that you're putting something on social media and you don't want it to be a big image. You can click on Size Image and that will access the Size Image dialog box. Maybe at this point now I want to go File, Save As, and I click on File, Save As, and you can save that as you normally would do, either a PSD, TIFF, JPEG, just depends on your workflow. But what it is about using these actions to speed up your workflow, and you're concentrating on what you want to do with your image, not having to go, where is that thing that I want to do up in the menu bar? Oh, transform, where's that? Or taking your hand off the mouse or the tablet and going to the keyboard. The basic workflow actions panel is all about saving you time and speeding up your workflow, and more importantly, having fun creating your images.